Hey everyone, this is Boom and Bee, and today we're going to be talking about familiars, or pets. Familiars are like mini heroes that attack, apply passives, and boost the stats of your heroes. TapTap Heroes currently has three familiars, Edison, Vinci, and Raphael. Each of them bring a unique set of passives that benefit your team, as well as an active skill that is used every 2 to 3 rounds. Your first familiar is unlocked at level 70, the second one at chapter 1105, and the third one at Den stage 240. You can level your familiar with gold and pet food. Pet food can be bought in the feather shop using feathers acquired from Expedition. So the higher the familiar's level, the more stats will be given to your team. Also, as you level them, your familiar will unlock more skills. At level 81 for the second skill, and at level 121 for the third skill. Skills are leveled by spending gold and golden pet snacks. This food can only be obtained via idling, and it has a very low drop rate. You may only have one familiar active per battle, but the stats gained from leveling them are applied to your heroes even if it's not being used in battle. So let's go over the stats for max level familiars. Edison gives the most health, but the least amount of attack. Vinci is average in both. And Raphael gives the least health, but the most attack. Realistically, these stats are not a huge difference to your team yet, because as you can see, at level 120, I'm only giving 7,000 health and 600 attack. The cost to go to level 200 would take the average player a very long time. And considering that most heroes you'll eventually have will be 9-starred and max leveled, these heroes usually have over 350,000 health, and 7,000 extra health is not going to make a big difference. It just feels insignificant. So let's move on to their skills. We notice a much larger benefit than just raw stats here. Each familiar brings an active skill that can be leveled up to 120. This skill's damage is identical for every familiar, but the second and third skills differ completely between them. At max level, Edison adds an extra 10% crit and 20% crit damage to your team. Vinci gives 20% skill damage and 10% hit rate, while Raphael gives 20% true damage and 10% dodge chance. These skills should be the defining factor for which familiar you choose to level and use in battle. Edison's crit rate and damage may prove to be useful to some heroes who really depend on crit, but I believe this is too situational. Remember, investing in a familiar skill is really costly, so you want to make the right choice. Then Vinci's 20% skill damage is great, and you'll definitely notice an increase in your hero's damage, but the 10% hit rate only applies to hitting heroes who have dodge chance to begin with. And then lastly, Raphael's true damage is strictly 20% more total damage. Whatever damage your heroes do without your familiar, when you apply Raphael's true damage, it's just 20% on top of that. Also, dodge rate will be applied to all your heroes, which is much less situational than the other two familiars. In my opinion, I think it is safe to say that Raphael is the best overall familiar. So let's move on to a more complicated and maybe opinionated topic. Assuming you're using Raphael, which skill do you prioritize leveling first? Well, I did some math. I estimated that if you use the same amount of golden pet snacks to level the first active skill and the second active or passive skill, it would put you at approximately level 30 active compared to level 6 passive. This is not exact, but I did not have a good way to measure that without losing a ton of gold resetting. So let's use a co-op boss and guild boss as examples for damage numbers, due to the larger amount of rounds and the less variability in attacks. Using a team with 492,000 power, it did a total of 10.4 million damage. So out of 10.4 million damage, the level 30 active skill averaged 127,000 damage, while Raphael's true damage added 610,000 damage to your overall hero damage. That is a 483,000 damage difference between the two. Now, this is a little exaggerated because the damage dealt by your team is greatly influences the effectiveness of Raphael's true damage. So basically, the more damage your team does, the more you get out of Raphael's second skill. Well, I can't tell you what power score your team needs to be for the true damage skill to be better than the active, but I can calculate at what hero damage amount that true damage does overcome the active skill. Using the above example of level 30 active versus level 6 passive, your team has to do over 2.17 million damage on friend boss for the true damage to be better than the active skill. Now, there are other variables to consider that will help the active skills case. Like at level 31, Raphael will start to hit 3 enemies instead of 2. But the other side to that is your team's hero damage will grow faster than your familiar skill levels. This makes the case for Raphael's second skill as increased damage very strong, and almost a no-brainer in my opinion, as you'll benefit from the true damage earlier than you think. Well, I know this video went from extreme basic to probably more detailed than it needed to be, but I hope it was helpful. Please let me know if you like this content, as I want to help you guys out as much as possible. But for now, that's Team TapTap signing off. Peace.